Kia ora everybody, how are you? I wanted to call today's podcast Training in the Gaps, and here's the reason why. For me, one of the things that I struggle with is getting into a rut, but also getting out of the rut in terms of training. Oftentimes I can take things really to extremes. And by that I mean getting over an injury, maybe recovering from one, or maybe being in a particularly rested state. I go, gosh, I feel like training. And so I'll set myself this goal. And the amount that I'll set myself will be, right, I'm going to train every day for 3 hours for an extended period of time. Now, for me, what I found in the last, 10 years, that approach generally has a reverse effect. So what I want to talk about is the importance of spacing your training and how that can affect our longevity and how it can affect our enjoyment of actually practicing. So for me, one of the things that I'm a daily practitioner, and I'm very lucky in that I usually have a reasonable amount of time during the day to find some time to practice either at home in a setup I have at home, or go to the dojo, which is not far from my home. One of the things that I have found works against me is when I try to train with a 20-year-old mentality. Now, I know I've talked about this before, but of late, I've really started to understand the notion of quality as opposed to quantity. And for me, I'm really enjoying my training, and I'm also starting to embrace the idea that if I'm going to be training every day, then I need to be doing different things. I need to be approaching my training differently. I don't want to do things, say for instance, if I train on Monday and perhaps I get into a grappling session, I know that on Tuesday I'm going to want to do something which is a little more around stretching and recovery. Maybe I want to do some swimming, some bits and pieces like that. Maybe I want to do some Swiss ball work. But what I won't do is get back into a heavy grappling session. So likewise, perhaps I'm wanting to go to the dojo and practice karate and wanting to do kata and go through specific kata. What I tended to do is go from the top, from the kihon kata, the basic kata, and then push my way all through to the senior kata. I know for me, just doing that once is a complete workout for me. At one point I was trying to do that every day, and at least for me it had a counter effect. It had the effect of, one, making me really bored. And yes, I know for those people out there who listen to that and say, well, kata's not supposed to be fun. No, I'm not saying it has to be fun. But what it did, I approached the kata as though I was going through the motions. And I think, for me at least, if you're going to be doing kata, it's really important to commit yourself and look at the small things, those little subtleties that often we miss if we go too hard or fast. So it's been really important for me to accept that some days I'm going to be able to make power and go in there and feel like I'm Bruce Lee, and other days when I'm going to go in there and I'm going to feel like a sack of potatoes. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean the sense that, we have to really try to embrace our energy where it is. If you're going to the dojo every day and you're coming away with these ridiculous injuries, these nagging injuries, then maybe it's time to get some rehab. Likewise, if I'm going to the dojo every day and I'm practicing specific things, I'm choosing things that I'm good at, then I oftentimes will shy away from the things that I'm not so good at. But more often than not, I need to practice. And there are so many things, too numerous to name, in this podcast that I need to be practicing. So training in the gaps is really about finding the appropriate time and place in your schedule to train, but also doing it in a way where I'm not trying to train like a powerlifter in the morning and then a marathon run in the afternoon and then trying to be a yoga master in the evening. That stuff kind of tends to work against me. And to be honest, it injures me more than anything else. It's training with the intent to enjoy the training, to strengthen, to challenge, but at the same time also put in sometimes even more than I'm taking out. Because I think once you hit a certain age, I know at least for me, it's important to take care of the vessel if I want to be a lifelong student of the martial arts. Anyway, I hope you're enjoying your training. There's some thoughts on training in the gaps. Enjoy your training And thanks so much for taking the time to listen.